Quick heads up, this story gets graphic and disturbing. Viewer discretion advised.
This story, it covers a father, a police officer. Today, we're going to break down, step by step, how dozens of desperate calls from teachers, even his own mother, got ignored. How the system, it seems, protected one of their own, a fellow police officer. But the main question, it's not just why did the system fail? Today, we'll tell you everything. We'll try to figure out what exactly led to this horror. Why dozens of people who knew about it just stayed silent. We will tell you everything we know, maybe even a little more. So I advise you to watch this until the end. It will definitely be helpful for you. Okay, now, hello everyone. This Dwight with Ebby. If you thought I was going to ask you to write where you're from, what time it is, or what the weather's like, you're mistaken. I'm asking you to write what year you were born, what your zodiac sign, also write if you've ever had any, misunderstandings with the cops. If so, describe in detail how it happened, okay?
All right, so this happened on Long Island, just outside the bustle of New York City. Here, the story begins. It really makes you think about the entire system. Child Protective Services, or CPS, received not one, not two, but numerous calls, numerous reports. The source? Teachers. People who see these children every single day. People professionally trained to notice when something fundamentally seems wrong. They were just concerned. So what does the system do when it gets this barrage of red flags from professionals? Logically, CPS, Child Protective Services, opened an investigation. It seemed like, here comes the rescue. But no, the investigation got closed. Not after a month, not after a week, but within a few days. Of course, nothing changed, because problems like this don't get solved just by closing a folder. It's not like the flu, which just goes away on its own. This cycle, a call from a teacher, a formal investigation, a quick closure, total inaction. It repeated itself again, then again, then again. I, like you probably, always ask in these situations, you don't just close a file, making the children suddenly well-fed, clean, happy. Eventually, this whole systemic failure, all this bureaucratic indifference, it led to the nightmare, in this case, becoming a reality. On January 17, 2020, a fatal call came into 911. This situation forced so many people who maybe didn't even know the family, to wonder, how the hell could this happen in a modern society? Why didn't anyone intervene? Why didn't anyone do anything? This didn't happen in a vacuum. There were so many phone calls from professionals, so many obvious warning signs. Honestly, there were so many opportunities for the system to just step in, get those children out. Like I said, today's case feels exceptionally disturbing. It hits at the very core. There's a lot to discuss, guys, so we're just going to get right into it. All right, so to understand how we got to the tragedy in 2020, we need to go back, pretty far back, to 2013, to Suffolk County, New York. Here we meet the main players, 32-year-old Michael Valva, 29-year-old Justina Valva. At first glance, just a perfect picture, a very attractive young married couple living in a prestigious area on Long Island, not far from New York City. He, Michael, worked as a cop with the New York City Police Department, the NYPD. Honestly, he really looked the part, that typical cop appearance. Justina, a pretty blonde, an immigrant from Poland. They married back in 2004, so by 2013, they had been married for about 9 years. That's a solid amount of time. They also shared 3 children. Importantly, all their children boys. Anthony, the oldest, born in 2009. Thomas, the middle, in 2011. The youngest, Andrew, in 2013. We don't know many details about the early honeymoon stages of Michael's relationship with Justina, but we know for sure that by 2011, right when their middle son Thomas was born, they started having serious problems. The illusion began to crack. The problem, it seems, centered on Michael. He always had a reputation for a short fuse, a volatile temper. His emotions, let's just say they were unpredictable. One day fine, the next an explosion. But this unpredictability of his anger, apparently, only grew over time, like a snowball. It seemed he had less control over himself. Understandably, his behavior worried her. Frankly, it scared her. This wasn't just having a fight, but it's a classic story. They built a family together, 3 young children. She really wanted to try to make things work somehow, to glue back what was breaking. Justina genuinely hoped things would get better. Maybe the kids would grow up. Maybe he'd calm down. But it turned out, as it so often does, to be the exact opposite. At the end of 2014, Michael, the police officer, the father of 3, started an affair. The woman's name was Angela Polina. Of course, Justina found out about this affair. For Justina, this became the final straw. Michael acted angry. Now, on top of that whole package, he turned out unfaithful. She simply ran out of any excuses to continue this toxic relationship. So Justina eventually packed her things, left Michael. Then, in 2015, a very dirty, very protracted divorce battle began between them. What's the biggest argument in any divorce involving children? Right, custody. Who gets the kids? This became the central battlefield. At the end of 2016, while the divorce still dragged on, this fight raged. Michael made a chess move. He made an absolutely sensational, devastating claim.
That last point about medical care related to an incident where their eldest son, Anthony, got sick, developed a high fever. You see, Justina, like many parents, obviously didn't think it necessary to immediately at 2 a.m. rush him to the emergency room. She decided to wait, give him medicine, see if the fever broke by morning. A completely normal practice for any mom. What do you think happened? In September 2017, the judge just agreed with him. The judge went ahead, granted Michael full custody of all 3 children. Justina, the mother, who had been with them since birth, received permission to see her children only once every 2 weeks. For Justina, these accusations, they felt like a bolt from the blue. They came from absolutely nowhere. They shocked her. Of course, at the same time, they made her furious. It seemed to her, it most likely was the case, that Michael cared less about the children's well-being. She desperately wanted to continue the fight for full custody. She wanted her children back. But this where harsh reality comes into play. Money. She couldn't afford the same powerful team of skilled lawyers that Michael had. You have to understand, Justina had been the primary caregiver. She was the stay-at-home mom. She didn't have much of her own money or savings. On the other hand, Michael worked as a police officer for the NYPD. A stable salary, connections, a union, respect in the community. So Justina clearly felt this entire custody battle had a total bias. Biased in Michael's favor, because he wore a badge. The judge, it seemed, just took Officer Michael at his word when he accused Justina, even though he had no real proof beyond his interpretation of a fever. What's worse? What just kills you? The judge didn't believe Justina when she made mirror image claims. She told the judge, "It's not me, it's him. Michael does all the things he's accusing me of." But the judge, he just didn't listen to her accusations with the same seriousness as Michael's. In fact, he completely dismissed her testimony, just waved it away. There's just a glaring example of this. The judge replied, "Just listen to this. Nis Valva, move on. I cannot recall everything you say because you talk so much. Basically, be quiet, you're tiring me out." When Justina, shocked by the decision, asked the judge why he was transferring custody to Michael, what the basis was, he simply replied, "Because I said so." The end. That's not justice. That's arbitrary power. So of course, this only reinforced Justina's firm belief that Michael received special, privileged treatment. Because he was a police officer, the system protects its own, but she wasn't the type to just give up. She wasn't going to accept "because I said so" as the final answer. She continued the custody fight, filing appeals, filing complaints. Unfortunately for Justina, it seems there just weren't any breaks for her, like the whole world was against her. Because in January 2018, another blow landed. What made her boys say such a thing? She felt shocked, but then she started to suspect these weren't their words. She suspected Michael. He just coached them. He put those words in their mouths. You have to remember, by that point, the boys already lived with their father. His new fiancée, Angela. Yes, that same Angela Polina he had the affair with. The one who, essentially, destroyed their marriage. The picture gets even more interesting. Angela also had 3 of her own children from a previous relationship, all of them girls. So now, in Michael's house with Angela, there were 6 children. Something about this whole situation felt extremely strange to Justina. Her worst suspicions, that mother's instinct, got confirmed every time Justina saw the children during those rare permitted visits. Her 2 older boys, Anthony, Thomas, had received official diagnoses, autism. These are children with special needs. It seemed to Justina that Michael, his new partner Angela, either didn't fully understand or worse, didn't want to understand how autism specifically affected her children. As a consequence, Michael, Angela, they just didn't know how to properly care for them. because they ignored the diagnosis. For example, it's a known fact, children on the spectrum might feel intense hunger, but not know how to properly verbalize that need, how to express it to adults. So we understand that parents in that situation must be proactive. They must offer food on a schedule, not wait for the child to ask. Of course, this, in principle, something all parents should do. But it's also something that parents of children with autism need to be much more meticulous, attentive about. But for Justina, it seemed obvious. Michael, Angela, they didn't take the autism diagnosis seriously. It felt to her like they didn't believe in the diagnosis at all, thought it an invention or a quirk. So imagine her desperation. At this stage, Justina wasn't entirely sure what to do. The court doesn't believe her. The children seem turned against her. So she did the only thing she could. She filed one complaint after another with Child Protective Services, CPS. She rang every alarm bell. But every single time, she just got ignored. The system wasn't working. One day, she'd file a detailed complaint. The very next day, her case would just be closed. No investigation. She felt so frustrated, so driven to despair, that finally, in 2018, she took a step many people take when official channels fail. She went online. There, she began to publicly document everything. Everything her children told her during visits about their dad, about Angela. Remember, her official reports to CPS, nobody took them seriously. So she thought that maybe video documentation, live recordings of the children's words, might somehow help her case in court. At that time, her boys' ages, Anthony 9, Thomas 8, Andrew 5.
That I can't listen to you and can't hug you. And I'm saying, I love you, mommy, and miss you, mommy.
Why?
I don't know why.
You always can hug mommy, kiss mommy, and tell mommy what? That you love mommy and miss mommy, right?
Right.
Yeah. What's gonna happen if you tell me that you love me and miss me and you give me kiss and a hug? What's gonna happen?
I don't know what's gonna happen. And then daddy's gonna put me outside.
What's gonna happen if you come to mommy?
Then I'm gonna get in trouble.
What trouble? Punished? How? How you gonna get punished? What she's gonna do? Put you upstairs? What's gonna happen upstairs? I can't hear you. We'll do nothing. And then what's gonna happen? Nothing to eat and drink. She can do that, baby. That's why you were afraid to come to mommy? Yeah?
Are you going?
It's okay, baby.
It's okay, sweetie. That's probably her calming the child on the video itself while recording this. Then in another, just shocking fragment, it seems Justina, now in complete, total desperation, clearly understanding that nobody believed her word, she resorted to methods we usually see in spy movies. She somehow secretly planted the recording device into one of the children's bags, just desperately hoping to get some kind of proof, any proof, of what was happening behind closed doors. In that audio, which, it's probably impossible to listen to without feeling rage, you can clearly hear Michael, Angela, the father, his new fiancé, almost coaching the children, training them.
Thomas, I love Daddy. No, I want Mommy.
I love Daddy.
I want Mommy.
Mommy is mean.
Mommy is mean.
Mommy is mean.
Mommy is mean.
Mommy said,
Dad.
who do you love?
Daddy and Angela.
Who do you... Huh? Who do you want to live with?
Daddy and Angela.
There you go, buddy.
I want to live with Daddy. I want to see Daddy. I want to see Daddy. I will, but I want to see Daddy. Mommy, you're not nice. I want to live with Daddy. I want to see Daddy. I want to see Daddy. I will, but I want to see Daddy. Mommy, you're not nice. Mommy, you're not nice. Mommy, you're not nice. You are not my I'm not proud of you, Mommy. I'm not proud of you, Mommy.
I have fun with Daddy and Angela.
I will fun with Daddy and Angela. Oh, we're fun. Yeah.
Thomas, do you want to stay with me?
Yeah.
Who do you love?
Daddy and Angela.
Who do you want to stay with?
Daddy and Angela.
Who do you miss?
Daddy and Angela.
Who do you want to live with?
Daddy and Angela.
Mommy is mean.
Daddy is mean.
Mommy hits me.
Mommy hits me.
Mommy don't touch me.
Mommy don't touch me.
I love Angela.
I love Angela.
I love Daddy.
I love Daddy.
What do you say, Anthony? I love Angela.
I love Angela.
I can't hear you.
What do you say?
I love Angela.
I love Angela.
Louder, Anthony. Anthony, I love Angela.
I love Angela.
I love Daddy.
I love Daddy.
I love you, Anthony. I love you.
Can I have some more water? The first thing.
What's most telling in these recordings, in my opinion, just how the boys sound. They seem completely engaged, lively, sincere when they say something natural, like, I want mommy. It comes from the heart. But when they're told, like parrots, to repeat something like, I love daddy, or I love Angela, their intonation completely changes. They suddenly sound almost muted, quiet, hesitant. You know, kids at that age, they're terrible actors when it comes to fundamental emotions. That difference in tone, that was probably the very proof Justina searched for. It was these videos that finally convinced Justina this wasn't just her paranoia. So those I Love Daddy recordings, they were essentially rehearsals for social services. She also found out it wasn't just Angela. It's important to understand here, the girls, they were just as young as the boys. They were children. So on one hand, yeah, maybe they just, like monkeys, repeated what they heard from Michael, Angela at the dinner table. Kids, they're like sponges. But on the other hand, just imagine that environment for a second. This goes beyond just speaking badly about an ex.
Yes.
Donna still wants me to push you down. I did push you down still.
Who's saying that?
Donna.
Dolana wants you to push me down?
Yeah, and I didn't. Again.
Yeah.
Again.
What?
Mommy, stop. And
What?
I didn't, Mommy.
Why she wants you to push me down?
Because take a parking spot. She wants you to be dead.
She wants me to be dead?
Yeah.
She said that to you?
Yes.
What did she say?
She said, let Mommy be dead.
She told you that she wants me to be dead?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
no,
no.
Mommy. And I don't want you to do. And I don't want you to be like that. Oh, no, Mommy.
My God.
Mommy, I didn't push you down, really. Excuse me, Mom. I really didn't push you down, Mommy.
That is not nice what
Mommy,
she's
I didn't
telling
push
you.
you down. Mommy,
I
Mommy,
know.
I didn't push you down.
I
Mommy.
know.
Mommy, I didn't push you down.
I know.
But unfortunately, all this just titanic work, all this video evidence, all that risk with the secret recording devices, it seems it didn't help Justina at all. She brought the system facts, but it changed absolutely nothing. Child Protective Services, this lauded CPS, still didn't take her seriously. She just got ignored. She got brushed off. When CPS actually conducted its so-called investigation, I'm using that term very, very loosely, just like the original narrator, because it felt like anything but an investigation. They returned with a conclusion. You know what it was? They said the boys seemed fine. Moreover, they officially stated they actually appeared in excellent health. Excellent. Michael, feeling his total impunity, made moves. Justina already had absurdly limited time with her children, but Michael then, even more aggressively, tried to restrict that time, finding newer reasons to deny visits. Just so you understand the scale of her desperation, Justina called 911 about 33 times. 33. But because Michael flat out refused to give her the children during her own legal court-appointed time, he just wouldn't open the door. There's another terrible video Justina filmed, probably during one of these handovers when she arrived. He stood at the doorway. It shows Michael, the cop, the father. Why does he do this? The caption explains, to prove the children supposedly don't want to come to mom. She finishes this caption with a bitter but completely accurate conclusion. She saw clearly that the whole problem, it's centered on his badge.
Hi, Anthony! Hi, Anthony! Go, Cookie Cups! Go, baby! Hi, buddy! Hi, Andrew! Let him go! Hi, Andrew! Let them go! They can come to me! Let him go! Let him go! He wants to come here, Andrew! Let him go! What are you doing to them? Every single come here, baby. I got you.
I'll be back.
No, he's not crying that he's gonna be back. He's crying because you're restricting them. Okay, I got you. Quickly, let's go. Let's go, Tommy. Let's go.
Child Protective Services, CPS, it wasn't helping her. She just kept getting brushed off. The courts weren't helping her either. They just believed the cop's word. When there were no options left, Justina, she'd had enough. She even tried to file an official complaint against the Suffolk County Police. I mean, she went against the system that so diligently protected her husband. What was the result? What do you think? Well, of course, the complaint got dismissed almost immediately after she filed it. The police department, get this, decided that they, quote, acted appropriately. Of course they acted appropriately. They just closed their eyes to their colleagues' actions. Perfect work. So what the hell, went on here? We know this not just from Justina's words, whom the system so conveniently marginalized, called hysterical. We know this because a whole other respected institution, the school the boys attended, East Boriches Elementary, also voiced its deep documented concerns about these boys. They voiced them not for a week, not for a month. They voiced them for years. Cases got closed before they were hardly even open. In fact, Michael, feeling the pressure, started getting angrier at the school. He went on the offensive, even accused the teachers, the principal, of harassing him, his family. Case after case got closed. The system protected its own. Unfortunately, on January 17th, 2020, around 9:40 a.m., Michael Valva called 911.
PC-43, what is the location of your emergency? Hello, do you need the police?
I need ambulance immediately. My son's not breathing.
Okay, stay on the line. How old is he?
8.
8?
Yes. He fell down. He banged his head.
Okay.
He's okay.
Of course, an ambulance, okay. Police officers arrived at the scene immediately. Thomas got rushed to the hospital. Detectives started the investigation from the only logical place, questioning Michael, Angela. This where the real circus begins. Both of them like almost a carbon copy. But the detective listening to this carefully rehearsed story understood it made no sense. Absolutely zero sense. When Michael got pressed with these questions, he did what all guilty people do. He instantly changed his story. But I know it's never good when someone's story changes so radically, so quickly. In fact, it's one of the first, brightest red flags for detectives that something here, it's just fundamentally wrong. This what the detectives started to feel, like something didn't add up. Something terribly didn't add up. So they questioned Angela, who told them a similar story. But she made one fatal mistake for them both. Trying probably to show how open, honest she felt, she gave the detectives permission to review the surveillance camera footage from their house. It seemed she genuinely believed she had nothing to hide. So, over the next few days, detectives started reviewing those recordings. They got access to them online using a username, a password. However, just a few days after they started copying files, many of those videos, they got suddenly deleted. Then the account password, it got changed. No one from the police department, of course, did this. So it probably came down to Angela or Michael when it finally dawned on them. They just handed the police a warrant for their own arrest. Luckily for justice, it didn't really matter because the police, they had already obtained, copied the footage they needed. What they found, it felt incredibly disturbing. In this family home, cameras, they were everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Outside, inside, in the kids' room, in the garage. I mean, literally everywhere. It wasn't a home. It resembled some kind of Big Brother affiliate. Michael, Angela, in their paranoia, recorded everything their children did. What they ate, where they went in the house, every conversation they had with each other. Every single thing. In these recordings, detectives didn't see an idyllic family.
Police also managed to get text messages between Angela and Michael during this time. Angela sent Michael messages, videos. While investigators uncovered all this information, Michael, Angela, continued to claim Thomas seemed in excellent health. Obviously, Michael felt very concerned about how much Thomas's funeral would cost him because he wasted no time creating a GoFundMe page to raise money. On the page, Michael wrote some tear-jerking nonsense. He received $10,000 in donations. However, the donations got returned, the page taken down on January 24th. Michael, Angela, they were arrested that same day, January 24th, 2020, charged with second-degree murder. The other children, thankfully, were immediately removed from this house of horrors. Anthony, Andrew, also Angela's daughters, the Burrells went to live with their biological father. Anthony, Andrew, finally got reunited with their mom, Justina. This wasn't a happy ending. The boys, they went from a trio to a pair. Justina had to put them in intensive therapy. A few months after Thomas's passing, they started to, little by little, talk about what else they experienced living with Michael, Angela. Justina shared these stories on her Twitter page, but I want to note the following information, it's alleged. The original text says fabricated, but that's the wrong term. It's about alleged, stated but not proven. Justina wrote a desperate letter to the Suffolk County District Attorney, urging them to look into these matters. But for unknown reasons, the charges never investigated.
The trials for Michael, Angela, they didn't start until 2.5 years. Michael's trial began in September 2022. He pleaded not guilty. So a month later, the jury found Michael guilty of second-degree murder. The sentencing hearing took place another month later. Michael's defense. They tried to make one last disgraceful move. They tried to use his status as a police officer to convince the judge to give him a lighter sentence. Can you believe that? Michael also read some pathetic statement. It said something about how he loved Thomas. First, Michael clearly didn't love Thomas with all his heart. Luckily, the judge didn't buy any of it. Before sentencing Michael, he stated that Michael acted out of pure, unadulterated malice. So, the judge gave Michael the maximum sentence, 25 years to life in prison. Angela's trial began in early 2023, proceeded similarly to Michael's trial. However, there was one key difference. Angela actually testified during her own trial, which Michael did not. But again, why use words when you have video? The surveillance footage proved how false those claims were. She wasn't just a witness. So, the jury, after looking at the evidence, found Angela guilty of second-degree murder. Her sentencing hearing happened in April 2023. At the hearing, Angela had nothing to say. At all. Nothing. This really shocked the observers in the courtroom. Usually people, even the worst criminals, try to squeeze out some apology, some regret, at least for the record. She didn't even do that. The judge sentenced her to the same term, 25 years to life in prison. As you can probably imagine, the fallout from this crime, it shocked the community to its core. The community deeply mourns the loss of Thomas. I can't imagine how hard this was for Justina, because she really did everything she could. She had to sit back, watch all this happen to her children. Since then, she has sued CPS, the school district, for $200 million. While I truly believe she has every right to sue CPS, I, like the narrator, still believe the school district, unlike CPS, did everything they could. I mean, just like her, they repeatedly called CPS. They documented the wait. They documented the marks. But CPS, it just did nothing in response. Justina got offered some ridiculous settlement of $3 million, but she refused. They still haven't reached an agreement. This, in a way, proves to me she's not just in this for the money. Sure, she's not agreeing to $3 million, but if she just wanted a quick payday, she would have taken it. Like, I will take as much money from you as I possibly can. Not because I need the money, but because I want you to damn well pay. I want to hit your pocketbook. I know listening to stories like this, it's going to be very difficult, but they need to be told. They need to be told so we can push for reforms, truly prevent similar situations in the future.
Why does the word of a dirty, worthless police officer take at face value over the word of a mother begging for help? It infuriates me, because if they had listened to her, if they had taken appropriate action, if they had taken her fears seriously, then things would have gotten different. These boys wouldn't have endured that for a significant part of their lives. One of them might very well still be alive today. Now it's like a mother mourning the loss of a son, brothers who no longer have a brother. Because some damn bureaucrat wanted to file their papers, check a box that it got processed, it makes me furious. I hate talking about these cases because they're incredibly draining for me emotionally, especially as a parent. But again, we need these emotions, this anger, to spark change. Well, maybe that's a naive, optimistic way of thinking. I don't even know. It just feels to me, how will change happen if we don't talk about this? If we don't expose where people horribly failed at their jobs? It's infuriating, frustrating. I'm grateful to you for bearing with, listening to his story today, letting his voice be heard. Because his father failed him, his stepmother failed him, the system failed him, everyone failed him. Everyone except his mother, who tried so desperately, so uselessly to fight for him. It's just so incredibly painful. So I'm grateful to you for hearing his story today. Thank you. Bye.